if you've seen the title of the thing, we want to just mention a couple rookie standouts. And then my article for Pitcher List did come out today. It is my Points League Paradise article that they so graciously let me write every week now, where I do a buy, sell, hold on Points League guys that I like, don't like, and feel like getting rid of. But Dylan had mentioned before the show, we need to talk a little bit about Corbin Carroll and what is happening with him this year. I think I saw on Twitter he has 4 home runs in his last, don't quote me on the spot, 323 at bats.
Yeah.
Only 4 home runs. I blamed the end of last year on that shoulder injury he had. It made sense. Like he was dealing with the shoulder. Maybe that's the power a little bit. But at this point, Dylan, are you starting to get like legitimately worried about Carroll moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, Jeremy Pena was on top of the world too, and he had a similar little stretch right there where I don't know the exact numbers, but I know he was on a big home run drought. Off to a good start this year. Corbin Carroll's young enough to where he can find his swing again and get back on track. But as of right now, like, who knows? Maybe that shoulder really still is bothering him. Maybe it is something a lot more in depth and serious than we thought. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got the tools still. He's still going to swipe you 40, 50 bags, but I'm not as optimistic on even 15, 20 home runs right now.
Yeah, I am slightly nervous. Like Ted said, it's still cold as hell. Almost a sorry for cussing. It's still cold as hell. There are some good and bad things about Corbin Carroll at the moment. I mean, he has yet to barrel up a ball. Obviously, that falls in the bad category. But he was never a big barreler of the ball. Is that the correct way to say that? Barreler? I'm not even going to try again. Of the ball.
Muscular.
Last season, he had like a 7% barrel rate last year, which isn't crazy, and like a 40% hard hit rate. Not like the league average is what it was. So I don't know if no barrels through 10 games so far worries me too much. There are some things that I like. He's got only a 4% strikeout rate, which is crazy. He's already tried to steal 3 or 5 bases, got caught twice. Don't like that much. But he's got an 85% contact rate overall, which is like considerably more than it was last year. Chasing more pitches, but there are some things to like about Corbin Carroll. The more that I talk this out, he might be a buy low candidate.
That's kind of how I wanted to approach this. Where do you see it?
Yeah, I was on the fence. That's why I like doing this podcast, because there's a lot of like ideas and thoughts in the fantasy baseball world that I can only think so many thoughts in a specific day. And so I don't put a lot of thought into many things until they get brought up. Like you brought up the Corbin Carroll thing before this, and then we have the opportunity to go on this podcast and kind of talk them out along the way. As I talked that out, I want to trade for Corbin Carroll in every league that I don't have him right now. I have him in a couple leagues. I genuinely think there's a real positive ROI for the rest of the season on trading for him. Prime example, I posted my article on Reddit today. I post all my articles on Reddit. If you guys want to find them, they're on Twitter, they're on the Fantasy Baseball Reddit. And I always answer people start-sit questions, fantasy baseball questions. And somebody actually asked me today. They had a trade offer. Their Corbin Carroll for either Mike Trout or Christian Yelich. Would you trade a Mike Trout or a Christian Yelich for Corbin Carroll?
I would trade a Mike Trout for a Corbin Carroll. I don't know about Yelich. Mike Trout's just got no help around him, man. It's really tough to see. That's going to impact his value and his numbers. But Yelich is a tough one because he'll provide the pop, not as many steals. Yes on Trout, no on Yelich. That's where I'm at.
I promise I try not to agree with everything you say on here all the time, but I think that's where I fall to. I guess we're just going to lead this right into this. Might as well be the Points League buy, sell, hold shit right here. Like we're getting into it because I'm in the same boat. Yes, I would trade Mike Trout for him because man, Mike Trout is great. But like my brother pointed out to me earlier, there's
He's the
so many
Dame
Mike Trout.
Lillard of the MLB right now, man. He's got to get
Yeah.
out of there.
And there's so many Mike Trout 40-40 jokes going around right now. 40 home run, 40 RBI season this year.
Yeah.
I mean, his last 10 home runs
All
are
solos.
solo home runs. And I saw
Mhm.
something that said 63% of his career home runs are solo home runs. There's only one other player in MLB history that has 300 or more home runs, and 60+% of them were solo home runs, and it's some dude from like 1898. Like it's absurd. And obviously Mike Trout's always an injury risk. He's so fun to watch play baseball. Even as a Mariners fan, I will never hate Mike Trout. He's so fun to watch play baseball. He's so good. He's an all-time generational talent. The wheels are going to fall off at some point just because they always do. So if you can trade him for somebody like a Corbin Carroll that's a buy low, that's a great move.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, with Christian Yelich, I think Christian Yelich is kind of like a Corbin Carroll light. He's not going to steal 50 bases, but they're going to hit the same amount of home runs, hit for the same average score, the same amount of runs, driving the same amount.
I think Yelich has more pop than Corbin. I don't know. I think Yelich has the potential to push the 2025 mark.
True, but before Carroll's shoulder injury last year, he was on pace for 30 plus. He had like 22. He had like 22 before the injury, the shoulder injury last year, and that was in like August. So like he was cutting it close. So there's a chance there. But yeah, I think I would move Trout for Carroll.
Yelich is already at 4.
Yelich has been playing like a man possessed a little bit this year. I kind of like it. Like he's on that MVP redemption tour to show everybody that he can win it outside of just 2019.
I really like Yelich too as a player.
Hey,
I've always thought highly of him.
Same. Like he's so good. I loved him when he was with the Marlins. That Marlins team was so good back in the day with him, Stanton, all those guys. So let's just keep this rolling then. If Corbin Carroll, just roll right into Corbin Carroll, if we're going to consider him a buy right now in like a fantasy baseball points league, how do you feel about Tristan Casas? I have him in the buy category. He started slow, hitting 237 coming into today with only one dinger, scored 5, drove in 3. Do you think Casas makes a good buy right now, or are you kind of hesitant a little bit about him at the moment?
First base is just one of the more deep positions I feel like on the board. I feel like if you really don't have one, then sure, go for it. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm really indifferent about Casas. I don't really feel one way or another about him, to be honest with you. So if it's like, an obvious thief of a deal, then sure, go for it. But I don't know if I would be like, I would want to make sure I'm on the better receiving end. Like I would make sure I'm giving up depth, not like starter for starter type thing.
I feel that. I did just trade for him in our home league that me and you are playing each other this week, by the way.
Yeah, not good start.
So we're mortal enemies right now. Your team sucks compared to mine right now.
Not a good start right
now. I just traded. It's a 12-team points league on ESPN. Like we did like a keeper league, keep 4 keepers drafted in the 4th round later. I made a couple trades the other day. I traded Aaron Judge for Rafael Devers and Tristan Casas. That has absolutely no bearing on him being in this article. I did all the research before the trade, and then I also traded Grayson Rodriguez for I don't remember Francisco Lindor. That's the other one. Lindor. That's the other one I traded for. I like that trade. I'm gonna miss G-Rod, but I like that trade. But the reason I have Casas in the buy category right now is because Boston has played all of their games away from Fenway. I mean, before like the series is happening right this second. And I'm sure you guys all saw Tyler O'Neill hit the 6th home run in 10 games so far. But 16 of the Red Sox next 22 games come at Fenway Park. And in his career, Casas has an 890 OPS at Fenway, which is 70 points higher than it is on the road. So better days are coming for Tristan Casas, I think. I don't know how much better. So I'm just going to say better. I was still on the fence coming into this season about how good he could be. We all saw the second half. He had like 15 home runs in 54 games last year in the second half, which is awesome. Like, that's really good. That's what you hope to see out of him coming into this year. But that's not necessarily a sustainable pace either. Players don't typically hit 30 home runs in 108 games. That's just not something that happens all the time. So Casas, my expectations for him were that he wasn't going to be as bad as he was in that first half of last year, but probably not as good as the second half. So I guess I am curious to see how he does in this homestand coming up. I think if you're going to trade for him, it's right now. But again, points league, he's great. Lower strikeout rate. We love doubles here. He hits a good amount of doubles and some ding dongs out there. So there's some upside there for Tristan Casas, which I like.
Like around that range, Torkelson's been very disappointing. Same with CES. Out of those guys, Casas has been the one.
I saw Vlad Sedler from FTN. Or no, it wasn't Vlad. Was it Vlad? I saw somebody on Twitter today. One of the high stakes guys was talking about how they're actually considering dropping CES in like main event leagues and stuff because he's been so bad, which is rough. I don't know if I'd drop him in a main event, which is crazy.
Yeah,
but
I'm too patient for all that. Like, it's still too early for all that, in my opinion.
It is. 10 games in. It is really hard to be fully out on people.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, if you guys read the article, my sell guys, at least this early in the season, are never going to be guys that started slow. I'm never going to tell you to sell a guy that started slow. I know Rotoballer does an awesome article. It's the cut list. That's a cool article. Go check that out. They talk about guys like that. Mine tend to be guys that have performed like very well that I think now's the time to get the maximum value you can for them. And to kind of jump around a little bit, I think the number one sell in a fantasy baseball points league or any league right now is Ronel Blanco from Houston. Dude, what a historic first two starts. I'll give him that. I think he went, like 15 or 14 innings or something like that of hitless, which is nuts. Like, I'll give him his flowers. That's crazy. Like, to be able to do that. But for one, this is the peak of his value.
Of course.
That it will never be higher than it is in this moment right now. So
I got to see what he just got picked up in my league. I got to see it. Yeah, I got to see how much he went for. It was a lot.
The league with the boys?
No, the TGFBI.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I need to see how much he went for in mine too.
I didn't put anything in for him though.
See, my problem is with Ronel Blanco. He's going to get hit hard at some point. He has a good fastball, which is cool. But the problem is he's got a good fastball that nobody could really hit, but it's got a 14.3% ideal contact rate, which is terrible. Like, people are making great contact on it. And his K- walk rate, which in a points league, K- walk rate is probably the most essential stat you can look at for pitchers. Obviously, lower walk rates are great because walks is minus a point, strikeouts is plus a point. So a great K- walk rate is cool. Ronel Blanco's K- walk rate is 9.7%. You want a K- walk rate around, like, usually if you can get like 17% or better, that's good. That's startable. 20% is great. Under 10% is that's terrible, man. Like, trade Ronel Blanco if you have him. You can write him out if you want, but this is the max value.
234 in TGFBI in my league, at least. Yeah, and I got Ivan Herrera and Michael Conforto too. I got both the guys I went in on.
That attaboy with Herrera.
Yeah,
like Uncle Ted's right here. I don't like to victory lap, but I did call.
That's Blake.
That's Herrera. Blake. I did have a few people telling me how it wasn't the smartest person to write up because Wilson Contreras is going to be coming back. He's not going to start. You have to take into account Ivan Herrera's bat plays, and the Cardinals have a lineup that is kind of void of productive bats. So when Wilson Contreras was back to being healthy, of course he was going to play. But the problem is you've got guys like Jordan Walker, who is struggling so bad in the outfield. And the Cardinals' current starting DH typically is Brendan Donovan. Donovan can play everywhere. So you move Donovan to the outfield. You can rotate Herrera and Contreras between DH and catcher. Herrera is going to continue to get at bats in this lineup. He has unreal power. He's going to hit 25 plus home runs if he gets 500 at bats this year. He has that much hitting ability, and I think I'm kind of going off the cuff here. I think he can profile very similarly to like a Yainer Diaz out in Houston.
Yeah.
He gives me kind of that vibe. I think Diaz is a little bigger.
Hey, how about that?
Like stronger, but hey, yo, did you really say that, Ted?
He did.
I didn't even look at that. I didn't even look at that. I wasn't scrolled down far enough. But yeah, Ted, props to you, my boy. I did not see that. Yeah, I completely agree. So yeah. And then Anthony, Vinny P or Torkelson in a head-to-head points league. Who you feeling, Dylan?
Head-to-head points. I'll take Vinny. Less case. I'll just take it at that. He's gonna, take away less from you as little as they're giving you right now.
Yeah, I agree. Torkelson's upside is his power.
Mm-hmm.
But he never makes great contact and doesn't hit he strikes out a decent amount. Vinny P has like 22 home run power with 12% strikeout rate for the course of his season. So yeah,
I'll take that in points all day.
Vinny P. Hell yeah. Ted said I said trade Bryce Miller last week though. I stand by that.
Yeah.
I fully stand by trade Bryce Miller. The problem with Bryce Miller, watch all of his starts from last year. I know you won't because nobody should actually go do that, but he has his moments of greatness and then he gets absolutely tattooed and he struggles to get through 6 innings of baseball, especially in the second half of last year. So seeing him come out in that first start this year and just get absolutely tattooed again and struggle to make it to 6 innings, it's kind of the same old. You're going to get those great starts from him every once in a while, but there's going to be a lot of games where Bryce Miller's going to let you down. You need pitchers that can go 6 innings and stuff. So it's what happens. But we did mention Brendan Donovan also. He's also in my buy category. Dylan, do you have any Brendan Donovan shares in points leagues?
I got big boy back here snoring. I had to bump him a minute ago. My bad. Yeah, so I do like Brendan Donovan. Chase rate 17.5%. That's really good. Whiff rate 15%, K rate 15%, walk rate 11%. That's all, green lights and points leagues. He's just going to get on base, do the right things. Does he have infield versatility as well, or is it just outfield?
Yeah, he has at least second base and outfield.
See, yeah, and that.
Plus, I think he has third base also, maybe.
So, yeah, he plays a lot of positions, does a lot of good things in points leagues, a lot of good stuff. So, yeah, if you can get your hands on Brendan Donovan, go for it, because that'd be a good get. Versatile, get you points, won't really take away from what you're getting. So, yeah, I like Brendan Donovan.
And if you like this content you guys are listening to, I just want to let you know that our episodes are now also brought to you by our Patreon. If you like what you hear, me and Dylan now have started a Patreon where we have written content, and we are going to have bonus episodes every week coming as well, starting this week. It's not up yet, but it will be. It is only $5 a month to sign up for the Patreon. Again, plenty of extra weekly content from me and Dylan, and $5 is less than the cup of coffee you buy yourself every morning on the way to work. So if you would like to check that out, go to patreon.com/the fake baseball podcast. It's awesome. Like we're putting out a lot of good content over there. It's a lot of fun to do. We're going to have merch coming soon on there as well. for you guys to be able to buy merch. The Patreon will be the spot to buy the merch from. So again, patreon.com/the fake baseball podcast. Make sure you go check that out. Moving on from Brendan Donovan, let's go with another sell. Connor Joe. He was one that almost seemed too obvious for me to put in the article, but I did it anyway. It's just because sometimes the ones that feel too obvious are the ones that you still need to talk about a little bit. He's in there because, much like we talked about with Vernel Blanco, how like this is literally as good as it's going to get for him.
Yeah.
Connor Joe is somebody that leads off for the Pirates against lefties, and he bats 6, 7, 8, 9 against righties if he's even playing. Sometimes they platoon him and he's not even in there at all. The Pirates just so happen to have the first 5 games of their season all come against left-handed starters, which is not something you see. So because of that, Connor Joe started the season leading off for 5 games, put up great numbers, which he typically does at the beginning of the year, especially against left-handers. He did hit a home run in that 6th game off of a right-handed reliever, so he snuck that in there as well. He's already scored 10 runs. So he, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Connor Joe is bad. Connor Joe is good. I just had to respond to somebody's question about this today as well. He is good enough to be a 5th outfielder on your points league team. So if you have him and you like him, you can absolutely still keep him. But a lot of being successful in fantasy baseball is capitalizing on value increases in these guys that you either drafted very late or didn't draft at all. Somebody like a Connor Joe can be traded for a guy that is a higher caliber that is struggling. Obviously, you're not going to trade Connor Joe for Corbin Carroll. That's not going to happen. But you could trade a Connor Joe for somebody like I don't even know why I started that. I actually don't have a name off the top of my head. Somebody that's struggling. You could find somebody to trade Connor Joe for if you wanted. You can include Connor Joe with somebody else in a package deal to get a better. Like you could package Connor Joe with a pitcher, maybe for like a Nolan Jones, who's starting to come around a little bit. You can find ways like that to trade your way up into a better team come mid-May. So yeah, Connor Joe's good. He's going to continue to score runs. Dylan, do you have any other like opposing viewpoints on that, or are you kind of just steady Eddie about Connor Joe right now?
He fizzles off towards the end of the year. You're right about that, but he does the thing like kind of the same thing as Donovan, does a lot of the things well in points league at least right now. Not chasing a whole lot, not striking out a whole lot, getting his walks. Like you said, he's been getting the benefit of the doubt against lefties. It's the small details you get into, it's that stuff that you find. So yeah, but he's a 230, 240 hitter at the end of the year. So him hitting 320 right now, it's not realistic. Like you said, if you can get the 2-for-1 and get the better player at the end of the day, that's what I would do as well.
Yeah, I agree. Because like there's some good stuff to like about Connor Joe. He hit 31 doubles last year. That's cool. We preach doubles being something you need to key in on for hitters in a points league. That's great. Doesn't strike out a ton. That's cool. But he's not going to give you this level of stats that you're getting currently. This is outlier level stats just because they did start against so many left-handers. And Uncle Ted in the chat brings up Tyler O'Neill leaving the Cardinals and becoming an absolute stud. Okay. I picked up Tyler O'Neill in our home league. Happy I did. Dude's hit 6 dingers in 10 games. Are you concerned about the injury history with Tyler O'Neill, or are you just along for the ride and enjoying it while it's happening right now?
I remember when he signed with Boston for some, I can't remember what the reason was. I just remember saying that I didn't like this. Granted, he hasn't hit the 6 home runs in Fenway yet, so we'll see about if the Green Monster maybe have any difference in that. I don't know, but yeah, I'm kind of been wrong on that one. I don't know. He's proven me wrong. I'll just ride the wave. I don't really have any hard feelings towards Tyler O'Neill. I just didn't think it was the greatest fit initially. But I mean, 6 home runs, it's really hard to argue with. He's a good player. He's fast, plays good defense, has pop. It's just a matter of health. But that's a lot of these guys. And I really don't know if that's just a luck thing or what, or if it, I don't know. But I'll stick with Tyler O'Neill if he's hot and let the wheels fall off until they do.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I picked him up as just like a have fun with him while I can. Pause. That was the fucking sentence to come out of my mouth. I picked him up as somebody to just have on my team while he's hot and just see how it goes. Yes, the one home run that he hit today did clear the Green Monster. I think he hit a fucking mile. He hit somebody's car windshield, messed it up today. But there's some stuff to like about Tyler O'Neill. Like he has dropped his chase rate. And it's small sample sizes. Again, they're what you want to make of them. If you want them to be good, they're good. If you want them to be bad, they're bad.
Yeah.
But he cut his chase rate way down, cut the whiff rate way down, swing, strike rate way down, zone contact through the roof. I think his zone contact rate is like 88% or 90% or something, which is like, that's what you want to see. And he's one of those rare right-handers that excels at hitting right-handed pitchers as well. I think all of his home runs this year have come off of right-handers. And I was doing some research yesterday. The majority of his home runs in his career have come off righties. I think his OPS is like 50 points higher against righties than it is against lefties. So I do have some worries about injuries. He played 130 games like one time in his career. But for now, enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, right.
He's a great player. So Matthew said O'Neill will be great in the 105 games he plays.
I remember I was really upset when we traded him for Marco. At the time, initially, I was pretty bummed. I was super excited about O'Neill because we didn't have a lot in the farm to be excited about at the time. He was kind of the prized possession. It depended on who you asked or who you looked at, but he was one of our guys, and I was really bummed to see him go. But yeah, I feel like at the end of the day, that ended up being a pretty fair trade.
You know who's a random, like if we want to talk about some random ex-Mariners real quick.
There's a lot of them right now.
So before I did all of this Fantasy Pros, Rotoball, like all that, I had my own website for a while called dualthreatsports.com. I used to write about whatever the hell I felt like in the sports world. It was amazing. It's how I kind of got a little bit of my break into the fantasy sports world as well. I wrote about this dude, Thiago Vieira, for the Seattle Mariners back in the day. Dude threw like 103 when nobody threw 103, but he didn't know where the hell that 103 mile an hour fastball was going. He just got a save for the Pirates the other day, like 2014, or for Milwaukee, excuse me, not for the Pirates. For Milwaukee, he got a save. So I'm going to say keep an eye on him just because when I wrote an article about him back then, and he liked and retweeted it on Twitter and messaged me about it. Like after I posted it, so like that was cool. So we gonna follow him on the pod. 4 innings pitched this year. He's got a save. He struck out 5 batters in 4 innings. He's walked more than I care to say, but man, the dude throws straight gas. No change up, no curveball.
All gas, no breaks.
See this one right here? I call that the demon.